Hi guys, and welcome back to part 2 of my fermentation. So I'm going to show you what's happening in the fermenting fridge. We'll see how the fermentation is getting on. So for the most part looking okay. You can see there's a bit of green on top there, but not a problem because underneath I'm sure that's perfectly fine. So let's get this out of here. I think we're ready to get on to the next step. So let's have a look over there. You can see all the bubbles flowing up there. That's fermenting very nicely. And you can see the green bits, that's mainly on the top. So we'll get rid of the onion that's sitting on the top there. That's just really just for a barrier, just so we don't get the mold and stuff growing on the actual peppers themselves. So you can see these others are doing okay. Not a problem there. Still going to take out the onion. I'm not going to use them, but you can see all the bubbles coming up. That's all the fermentation, the CO2 that comes from the process of fermentation. It smells really hot. You can see it has overflowed a little bit, which is why we have this container. So we make sure we don't get all the rubbish in the fridge itself. So that one there, that's the mix. That's looking all right as well. And Naga chocolate. Wow, that's pretty. Yeah, I should be wearing gloves so I can feel the juices on my hands, and I'm going to have to clean them. And the 7-pot. Excellent. So before we get started doing these ones over here, I'm going to take these freshly picked ones and start a fermentation again. So these are all my habaneros. I've got a mix of Habanero the Monster. Actually got some decent sized ones here for a change. And also a few of my Habanero Fruit Burst. So I'm going to just cut those up and make them into a new ferment, and then we'll finish up with these ones over here that are finished. So this will be in a bigger jar, and let's put these spices aside. So we'll go through the same process that we did in the first video. Just cut them in half. And these ones here, I'm not putting any garlic in. I want to make a bit of a Caribbean hot sauce with these. So we might add some garlic when we actually come to process them, but not for the fermentation. So these ones I'm going to do things a bit differently. I'm not going to use the bag method. Bag method works perfectly well, as you can see here. Obviously there's a little bit of green there, but that doesn't matter. We're going to get rid of the onion. But I'm going to use one of my SteriCap things. These things are pretty incredible. They just keep it really nice and airtight. So I'm going to cover that up with some brine. Again, about just over a 2% brine. So there we go. We've mixed up the salt, the brine mixture. Let's get that in there. So there we go. It's pretty straightforward with this. It's just, it allows air out, it doesn't allow air in. So tighten that on there. That's going to go inside the brewing fridge. So let's get on with the fermentation that we've already done. So we'll start with this one, the one that has the green on it. So you can see that there, that's not very nice. You don't want that in there. Try and get it out without getting any of it into the mixture itself. So you can see underneath where it was under the brine, no problems at all, but it's where it's in the air, it's not the best. Oh, that smells great. So that's the Habanero 7-pot. I'm going to pour it through here just so we get the liquid out. Now you've got a few choices here. You can reintroduce the liquid again if you want to make a more runny sauce. You can see there You can introduce that into the sauce itself, or what I've seen happen, and I haven't actually done it myself, I might give it a try sometime, is you can use that as its own little sauce. A bit of a salty hot sauce. It is very spicy, but yeah, it looks great. I love the smell of fermenting peppers or vegetables or anything like that. So what we're going to do now is put it in the blender. Look at that beautiful color. Wow, that's spicy. Now what we need to do, and again, this is just the way I do it, you know, the basics of fermenting is just get the basic fermentation done, and then you've got some choices. So you can use it just like this if you want. It's more of a salsa than anything else, but what I do is I run it through a sieve and make sure that we get all the pulp out, all the seeds out. So just keep kneading it through. You'll get most of the good stuff out. You can still use the leftover, the pulp, and what I typically do is I'll use it in a chili con carne or a curry. So it might not look like a lot, but that is very, very concentrated. So I'm going to add some lemon juice to this. About a tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm also going to add some Chinese 5-spice. Just about a quarter of a tablespoon. And then about a tablespoon of vinegar as well. So you really should just feel free to experiment. I'm making more of a Tabasco style hot sauce, just obviously a load hotter. It really is up to you. You could have just left it neat if you wanted to, but I don't know, I think it's just a bit hot, especially when you have the Habanero 7 pot. But it really is up to you. Really feel free to experiment. I like adding the Chinese 5-spice because I love all the flavors that brings out. Still a lot of heat, but it's quite an interesting flavor. So this beautiful, very, very spicy hot sauce right there. And the right consistency for what I was trying to achieve. So the next one we're going to do is the red and white Bhut Jolokia. And again, we get rid of the onion, although as you can see with this one, it's not a problem. There's no fungi or mold or anything on there. Just getting rid of the brine. Again, beautiful smells. With this one, we're going to do a bit of experimentation. Like I said, with this, with doing fermentation or making sauces, you know, feel free to experiment. The basics are important. Make sure that the peppers are properly prepared, that you fermented them for long enough, and it's pretty straightforward to see that they have fermented because you see all the bubbles coming up. You can leave them for as long as you feel necessary. I know the first few times I did this, I didn't want to wait too long, so the first few times you do it, I mean, if you want to do it just for like 2 or 3 weeks, that's fine, but you can leave it for a lot longer. So these ones, what I'm going to do is, let's stick them into the blender, and I'm going to add a few things. So in the last one we added some 5-spice, Chinese 5-spice, and this one I'm going to add in some thyme. So the reason I'm doing this is when I make peri-peri chicken, I use a lot of thyme and lemon. I'm going to do a similar type of thing here. It brings out some really nice flavors out of the chilies. So I'm going to try it with these Bhut Jolokias. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon, and I'm also going to add in the lemon. I am doing about a tablespoon again, and I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons worth of vinegar. this doesn't have to be precise. One of the reasons I add the lemon and the vinegar, obviously the taste, I like the flavor of the lemon that it brings out. But the other reason is you're reducing the pH level some more, so it makes it more shelf stable. So by adding in some more acids like the lemon and the vinegar, you don't have to add both, you can add one or the other, but I like to add a bit of both. By adding that, you are reducing the pH level. So fermentation already is reducing that pH level, but this just does it a little bit more. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some sugar. So I try and avoid sugar itself, and what I'm using here is erythritol. So it's fake sugar like a Splenda or something like that. Just be aware, don't use things like aspartame or spartamine or whatever you want to call it, because if you do cook with the sauce, some of those fake sugars aren't brilliant for cooking. They turn carcinogenic. But this one you can cook safely with. Also Splenda or sucralose, you can cook with that as well. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of that, and we're going to blend this up. So that's properly blended. Yeah, don't stick your face in there and sniff it. It's not very healthy for you. It does smell good, but wow. Do the same as before, we just get all the good stuff out of here. There you go. You might notice, I mean obviously the taste is not the same, but if you've been to Nando's, you would recognize that it looks somewhat similar. So I will be doing a video soon, just showing my replica Nando's sauce, but pretty much the secret there is adding some thyme, salt, pepper and lemon juice. And obviously using the right peppers. So there you go. So we're going to bottle this up, same as we did before. So I'm going to do these other three now. I'm going to do this off camera. I'm just going to quickly get this done. Essentially I'm going to do exactly the same as what I have done already now. This is the 7-pot Primo. I think with the 7-pot Primo, what I really want to do here is I just want the heat, so I'm not going to really add anything extra into this. However, with the mixed hot, I'm definitely going to add a few extras in there. Some extra spice and some extra thyme potentially. Maybe some of that sugar as well. And all of these I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar. No vinegar in the 7-pot Primo, I'm only going to add lemon juice. And with the Naga Brain chocolate, again, I don't really want to dilute that too much, so I might just leave that exactly as is. And I might include the onion as well, because that looks alright to me. So I'm going to mix that up and keep it as is. But the mixed hot, I'm going to mix in a few extra herbs and spices and make a bit of a different sauce. So I'll be back with you as soon as I've done that. So that turned out quite well. I'm quite happy with that. My lungs have taken a battering, breathing in all these fumes. Just really be careful with this. With these, obviously I haven't cooked them, but if you are going to put this on the stove, don't do it indoors, because you're going to have to evacuate your house if you do that. Try and do it outside if you have a small camping cooker or a little gas hob that you can take outside, or even your barbecue. That's really how I do it, just on the barbecue. If you are going to cook it, to simmer it for a while, do not do it indoors. Anyway, especially when you're doing it with these sort of hot peppers. So I'm pretty happy with this. The 7-pot Primo, I'm really chuffed with that. I love the color there. It's really nice. And the Naga Brain chocolate, that came out quite good as well. A bit of a darker color. And the Habanero 7-pot, the first one I did, a bit more of a liquidy sauce, but that should be good. So all these sauces, they get better with time as the flavors and that all mix together and it mellows out. Some people don't like the raw taste, so that's why I said about the cooking. You can do it like that. You're getting the benefits here of the fermentation as well. You're getting the good bacteria. So it's the same like drinking a Yakult. You know, it's all that good bacteria that you're putting into your gut. Yeah, I'd prefer it doing that way. I do some sauces where I cook them. I'll show you that in a future video. But for now, quite happy with this. I'm going to now label the jars and put them away, and we should be done for the video.